Rotisserie chicken has become a very popular item over the years, especially for meal prep and making meals easier during the week. They are also budget friendly. You can usually get 2 or 3 meals, sometimes 4 out of a whole rotisserie. Today I'm sharing 3 recipes using rotisserie chicken, so make sure to stick around. I think you're going to love the ones I chose. And I am so glad you're here. If we haven't met, my name is Ange and this is the Menu Made Kitchen. So to start off our alfredo lasagna roll-ups, I want to get my pasta cooked up first. I'm going to add some salt to my water. And then I'm also going to do a splash of oil. Hopefully that'll keep the noodles from sticking together. And I am going to be adding a couple of extra noodles. That's always a good idea, especially when you're making roll-ups, because if one of them breaks, then you have an extra. Okay, it is good and boiling. So we're going to need 8 lasagna sheets, but I'm going to do 10. We are going to boil these for 8 minutes, and then I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to place them on a lined baking sheet with parchment paper in a single layer. That way they don't stick together and make it easier for rolling. And while these are cooking, let's go ahead and make our filling. So for our filling, we have 2 cups of the rotisserie chicken, and I diced that. I'm going to add half of this mozzarella cheese that I've shredded. And this is about 1.5 cups or so. We have a 1/4 cup of parm. I'm doing a 1/2 cup of ricotta, and this is part skim ricotta. And for our seasonings, I have a 1/2 teaspoon each of dried parsley, Italian seasoning, salt, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and garlic powder. And then we are using another shortcut. I am doing a jar of Alfredo pasta sauce. Now, this is the one that I get at Trader Joe's, and what I like about it is the ingredients list on the back is very minimal. Like, there's not a lot going on there. You probably can't see that. But pretty basic ingredients: cheese, milk, cream, and it tastes delicious. You can certainly make your own, but we're going for easy with the rotisserie, so I'm going to go easy with the sauce. So we need a 1/2 cup of this in our filling. Okay, so let's combine all these goodies. This smells amazing. So it looks like our noodles have about 2 minutes. And then we'll start assembling these. Well, it is a good day because not one of my lasagna noodles broke. However, it is important that you only cook them those 8 minutes because they are going to continue to bake in the oven. So we are going to add about a 1/4 cup of our filling mixture. We'll just kind of plop it right here in the center of our lasagna sheet. And then we'll take a spoon and spread it out. Now, it is important also that you don't rinse your noodles because that little bit of sticky starch on the pasta kind of helps the chicken to stick and not slide all over the place. Just like that. Very simple. And then all we have to do is roll up these bad boys. You don't want it to be super tight because you don't want the filling to squish out of the sides. So just kind of, gently roll it up. And there you have it. How adorable. Okay, so I'm going to finish the rest of these. Hopefully we'll get 8 out of them. And then we'll talk about baking times and the rest of the finishing touches. Our precious rolls are all assembled, so I'm going to add another 1/2 cup of this Alfredo sauce to my baking dish. Spread that out a little bit. And I did spray this with nonstick spray. I want to make sure everything comes off the pan nicely. And now let's add our rolls. I'm putting them seam side down. And because we're not doing 12, which is usually typical for a recipe like this, they don't need to be super snug in the pan. And then to finish this, we are going to add the rest of our Alfredo sauce. We'll pour it right over the top of our lasagna rolls. You want it to be good and saucy, so use it all. And this is I don't know if I mentioned, this is a 16-ounce jar for these 8 rolls. I looked at my camera and I realized that half of the pan was missing. So I just spread out the Alfredo sauce to make sure the rolls were covered. And then we are going to add the rest of our mozzarella cheese. And I'll just do a little dollop. I'll do a little sprinkling over the top of each roll. I was like, I might need more cheese, but I don't think so. I think it was just enough. I have my oven set at 350. We are going to cover this with foil and bake it for 25 minutes. We'll pull it out of the oven and then remove the foil and bake it another 10 minutes. I might pop this under the broiler to kind of toast up the top. We'll kind of see how I feel or what it looks like. And then top it with some fresh parsley to make it look pretty. And then it's ready to taste. Life is all about balance. I say that on my website. I've said it plenty of times on my YouTube channel, but I will say this has lots of protein. You know, we got the chicken and cheese and the pasta, so it's going to be filling for sure. But this is a rich dish, and I'm not going to even try to say that it's a super healthy recipe, but it's going to be good. And so fast and easy to put together, especially with using our shortcuts like the rotisserie chicken and the alfredo sauce. But my kitchen smells divine. Oh, and I did put it under the broiler like 30 seconds and I got a teensy bit browning. I didn't want the cheese to become real hard on top, but I wanted a little bit of color. Okay, I think I have the perfect bite. It's a big one. Can we just have a moment? I have to gather my thoughts. So creamy, cheesy, garlicky, but not too much garlic. And that is one thing that I love about the Trader Joe's Alfredo brand is it's not, I don't feel like they're trying to mask their ingredients with a bunch of garlic. You know how sometimes brands do that? It's not like that. Like you just taste the delicious kind of fresh Alfredo flavor. It's a really great Alfredo sauce. And the ratio between the filling and the lasagna noodle, it's like perfect. You get that little bit of pasta with the creamy filling. I just can't even say enough about this. We're gonna have to move on because I could stay here all day and tell you how delicious this is. You have got to make this one ASAP. Well, tacos are a very common thing to make with a rotisserie chicken, but we're not gonna make some boring old tacos. We are doing ranch chicken tacos, and this will be super easy to throw together, but it's gonna be flavorful. I'm gonna finish prepping the rest of my ingredients and then we will start making our ranch sauce. Here we go. We are gonna make kind of our ranch dressing or ranch sauce that we're gonna put over the top of our tacos. And we're gonna start with half a cup of ranch dressing. This can be homemade, bottled, whatever you wanna use or that's easiest. We are also doing a quarter cup of sour cream and then 2 tablespoons of salsa, and I'm using mild salsa. And that is it. And by the way, if you have never mixed together sour cream and salsa, it is a delicious dip for tortilla chips. All right, I'm gonna place this in the fridge and then we'll move on with the next step. So next up, we are gonna prepare our chicken. I have 2 cups of the shredded rotisserie. To that, we are gonna add 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, and this is low sodium. And then I also have 1 tablespoon of water. And this will just help keep it nice and moist when we heat it up in the microwave. Let's toss all of this together. Now, if you don't have a microwave, you can always pop this into the oven, cover it with foil, maybe add a splash more water and heat it on a low heat until it's warmed through. But I'm gonna take advantage of the microwave and go the quick route. Oops. Well, doesn't that look yummy? And it smells really good. So we're gonna heat this up about 1.5 minutes. I just kind of wanna gently warm it through. But while that happens, we are gonna get our tortillas toasted up in a pan on a skillet, or in a skillet. And then we'll just pull all of this together, start building our tacos. I have my small pan here. We've heated it up to medium-high heat. And I have 8 corn tortillas. These are 6-inch in size. And we'll put them in the dry skillet. You can certainly add a little bit of oil if you want, but I just prefer it this way. We'll toast them a little bit until they're pliable, and then I'll put them in foil over here to keep them nice and warm. And then once we have all of these warm through and toasty, then we can start building our tacos. So here we go, the best part. I am gonna use my taco holders because it's a lot easier with the soft tacos. So we will grab a couple of our corn tortillas. Just plop them in there. Now the other side to this taco holder actually holds 3 tacos. So if you want to serve 3 tacos, you can do it that way. So we'll add a little bit of our chicken down. And then down goes the cheese. We've got some tomato. You know, these are just one of those things you can have fun with. But the ranch sauce, that's where it's at. That's going to be the main event. The ranch sauce and our seasoned rotisserie chicken. A little shredded lettuce goes on. I don't know about you, but the biggest struggle with tacos is not overfilling your taco. It's really hard because you just want it all. You want all the goodies in there. Okay. And then our sauce. Oh gosh, it's going to be so good. Okay, I'm going to add a little green onion. And just because, we'll add some cilantro. Fresh avocado would also be good, but I don't think my avocados are ready. So look at this. Yum. Okay, these are ready to taste. Okay, are you ready? My mouth has been watering, like doing all the videoing and trying to capture the perfect shot. I am just ready to dive in. So we've got our beautiful ranch chicken tacos. Oh, those look fantastic. I think they'd really be good with crunchy shell tacos as well. Okay, this thing is shaking and bugging me. You know, there are so many varieties of different kinds of tacos, but I particularly love this one because it was insanely easy and it has a sauce to go with it. That's even better. We are diving into that bad boy. Look at that. Wow on the flavor. Instantly, I get the seasoned chicken and then that ranch sauce. And then you get kind of the cool, fresh toppings. I am telling you, if you make any of these recipes, you have to make these tacos. These are fun and they're special and something different. I think you will absolutely love these. We are making this cozy chicken barley soup. I'm very excited about this because I've actually never had chicken barley. I've always had beef barley. So we're going to start with a couple tablespoons of butter. You can also do olive oil. We are using pearl barley for this recipe. And the difference between pearl barley and like a whole barley is the pearl is going to cook a lot quicker because it doesn't have the outer bran layer on it. So it's not quite as fibrous, if that makes sense. So we are going to saute some veggies. I have 1 cup of a diced onion. We're doing 1 cup of diced carrots, a half a cup of celery, and this is optional, but I am going to add in 1 cup of diced potatoes. So these veggies get sauteed for about 3 or 4 minutes. Not too long because this is going to cook for about 40 or 45 minutes once we add everything else. Just enough to kind of, release some of the sugars and whatnot. Onions are softened, so I'm going to add in 2 garlic cloves, and I like to saute the garlic for like 30 seconds. We have 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I feel like this is where all the magic happens. Like when you're sauteing the veggies and doing things in different steps to like really bloom the ingredients, it makes all the difference, especially when it comes to like soup. We have some seasonings. I'm doing 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a half a teaspoon each of dried rosemary and thyme, and then a pinch of salt and pepper. We have 3/4 cup of the pearl barley, and I've rinsed this really well with cold water because it's kind of dusty, when it comes in the store. We are adding 2 cups of our shredded rotisserie chicken, and then we are adding a ton of chicken broth, 8.5 cups, and we might even add more. Oh man, there's all my bouillon. You gotta get that in there. That's where all the good stuff is. So that was 4 cups, 6 cups, and then there is 2.5 more cups. It's important when you're cooking barley that there's plenty of liquid because it will absorb a lot of it. So this is gonna reduce down quite a bit. So I'm gonna bring this to a boil and then I'm gonna turn it down to like a medium heat and we'll just let it simmer away for about 40 to 45 minutes. We want the barley to be nice and tender. Everything else will be cooked through. And then we'll taste for seasonings, make sure it doesn't need some salt and pepper, and we'll garnish it with parsley. Very simple, fast to throw together. The cooking time is a little bit long, but very easy. Our soup is ready. So this took about 50 to 55 minutes for the barley to become the tenderness that I would like it. So I don't like it real chewy, and that's what it can be if you don't cook it enough. But sometimes people like that texture. So it really just depends on what you prefer. But as you can see, it's nice and thick, but there's still a little bit of broth in there. And if you want to add more chicken broth to it to make it more soupy, by all means. Oh, the flavor of that broth. It's rich. You get that little hint of tomato flavor in there from the tomato paste, but it's not, I would not call this like a tomato-based broth. It just adds richness, really. And because we use the rotisserie chicken, that just adds a ton of flavor to the soup. I love the texture of barley in soups. I don't know why I've never thought to put it in chicken soup, but it's wonderful. And the potatoes and carrots and everything, this is a awesome meal, a great meal to use a rotisserie chicken. Or if you don't have a rotisserie, just make some chicken and make this soup because you will love it and it will definitely become a favorite in your home. Make sure to join me in this next video. I share another round of fantastic chicken recipes. Thanks for spending time with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time.